Lights, camera, and action.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast.
Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared. And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
All right, welcome back to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. I am looking forward to this movie only because I really don't remember it. I've seen it, but I might not have seen it since 1998, and I might have only seen it that one time. But I remember thinking the killings were cool. What do you remember?
I remember the cast because it was all of the hot young Hollywood peoples from 1998. Like they were all the most popular ones. And two, I remember all of the kills because they literally took every urban legend
Yeah,
that was super familiar to everybody and everybody had heard, and they styled those kills so well in this movie. And there was gore, but it wasn't too much and it wasn't too little.
right.
Like, you saw those kills. So, I mean, I remember loving this movie.
Okay, so for those listening, how we pick a movie is we get a list of movies, different categories, horror, action, comedy. So for each genre, we get 3 movies. I pick one, Anna picks one. If we pick the same movie, we watch it. If we pick different movies, the third movie that isn't picked is the one we will watch. In this case, it was Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Urban Legend. Scream, I've seen a lot. Like I
Me
owned the
too.
DVD back in the day. I'd bet money that I haven't seen it in a few years, but I know it's still a good movie. I have not seen I Know What You Did Last Summer a lot, but I do remember the movie fairly well. And this one I did not. So that's why I picked it.
I just remember loving Urban Legend. Like, I
Yeah.
used to watch it a lot because it was one of the movies. So we had access to the server. So I would just watch random movies that I had already seen while I was working. So I'd have a little, like, screen going in the corner of my and half the time I wasn't even watching, so I would just listen. And Urban Legend was one of the movies that they had that I liked. So I ended up watching it a lot of times, and I have it on DVD. Same thing
Oh,
with
do you?
Yeah,
Oh, so you
Urban
don't even
Legend
have to
Final
rent it
Cut,
or
and then well, I technically don't have to rent it. I just have to find the DVD. That's the I own it. I know I do.
all right. So let's first go to the box office. Came out September 25th, 1998. It came out in third place behind Rush Hour and Ronin. It had a budget of 14 million. It opened just over 10.5 million. Domestic over 38 million. International just over 34. So $72.5 million. So it made money, and
Mhm.
then it would have made a lot more in DVD rentals. Horror movies are usually pretty safe, I think, for studios, as long as you don't have ridiculous budgets on them,
Oh, yeah.
because people do like horror movies. They have a pretty devoted fan base that will go and watch pretty much
They
anything.
do.
Yeah, including us.
That's very true.
Yay!
Woo woo.
Tale of the Tape. Urban Legend is a 1998 horror, rated R, comes in at an hour and 35 minutes. Taglines: buckle up, because there's a few. Get ready to face your worst fears.
Okay, okay.
It happened to someone who knows someone you know. You're next.
That's a lot of words.
Yeah, that's actually on the DVD up top there. What you don't believe can kill you.
Mm, I like that.
Just because it didn't happen doesn't mean it can't.
I don't like that one.
urban legends can kill. I was just getting lazy. Just throwing anything out. At Pendleton University, urban legends are coming true.
That's shitty.
Yeah, see, they're just never talk to strangers, never answer the phone, never flash your lights, never leave the car, and always believe what you're told.
That is not a tagline. That's just life lessons.
Synopsis. A university is beset by a rash of gruesome murders that resemble old urban legends. When her friend Michelle, Natasha Gregson Wagner, is killed by someone hiding in her car, Natalie, Alicia Witt, begins to notice the pattern. Her suspicions grow stronger when her own roommate is strangled to death. Soon, the quiet college campus is transformed into the hunting ground for a maniac, and Natalie struggles to find the killer and stop the bloodshed before she becomes the next victim.
Nice.
And here is the poster, movie poster, pretty much the DVD.
Mhm.
What you don't believe can kill you is at the bottom. It happened to someone who knows someone you know. Your next is on the top. And for those listening, there's an eye in the middle, kind of looking through. Would that be glass or paper? Glass?
Maybe
Paper.
glass,
Yeah.
but it looks like newspaper clippings too.
Yeah. And it's just the cast. It's Jared Leto, Gayheart, Jackson, Joshua Jackson, Tara Reid, Alicia Witt, and Rosenbaum. All right. Which brings me to my favorite, the reviews.
Oh, the reviews.
So on Rotten Tomatoes, we have 63 critic reviews and it has 25%. 100,000 audience giving it 37%. And the critic consensus is elements of Scream reappear in a vastly inferior vehicle.
Well, that's nice.
So you may start with the
Oh, thank you.
fresh.
While it does not boast itself as the best, the legends it holds, the horror it honors, the red herrings it constantly crafts, and the ending make it at least an entertaining viewing experience. Stephanie Archer, Film Inquiry.
Not every film is going to be a masterpiece. Some entertainment works with its audience simply because it is disposable. Grant Watson, Fiction Machine, original score 6 out of 10.
A proud product of the Scream cookie cutter, Betsy Sherman, The Boston Globe.
There were so many
I
Scream
believe it.
references. I will go with
It's okay.
Rotten. I'll start with Rotten. There's a lot more of these. It was just stupid. The acting, the story, nor the characters made any sense. Justin Brown, medium popcorn, 1 out of 5.
This was a dumb movie with a terrible killer reveal that is just completely illogical. Also, the outfits of the characters were insane. Brandon Collins, medium popcorn, original score, 1 out of 5.
Same company, same two different people. Both
Interesting.
hated it. Urban Legend starts off very clever, then gets a little less clever the longer it goes on. Mike McGranagan, aisle seat, original score 2.5 out of 4.
It's surely not the worst slasher film ever made, but it wastes the hint of a creativity it promises from the outset. Felix Vasquez Jr., cinema crazed.
A deeply stupid movie. True How, Film Written Magazine, original score 1.5 out of 4.
Tell us how you really feel. Can we please declare a moratorium on Scream ripoffs? Kevin Maynard, Mr. Showbiz, original score, 2 out of 4.
A routine slasher and not a particularly scary one. Mick LaSalle, San Francisco Chronicle, 2 out of 4. You can take the next one.
A low voltage drive in movie made strictly by the book. Bob Heisler, Los Angeles Times, 1 out of 5.
Competently made. Roger Ebert, Chicago Sun-Times, 2 out of 4. Wasn't a good movie, but it was competently made. All right, IMDb. IMDb has 69,000 user ratings, giving it 5.6 out of 10. So we'll start with positive. 10 through 6 is positive. 5 through 1 is negative. So you may start.
I'm ready. The best of the Scream knockoffs, 10 out of 10. Jimmy PLM.
A fun, inventive slash fest. 9 out of 10. Clone.
My number 134 movie, 8 out of 10. Renew, 18.
As soon as I saw this, I won't lie. I'm curious. What are the other 133 movies?
Yes.
Better than I Know What You Did Last Summer. 7 out of 10. John Count Clem.
A predictable, though moderately enjoyable ripoff of Scream, except not as good. 6 out of 10. Nema 2.
All right, now we are going to go to the not so good. Great idea, but pretty crappy execution. 5 out of 10. Sir Amir Sarif.
Hmm. Textbook example of a decent idea gone bad. 4 out of 10. Cap Kronos.
Heard the one about the boring, cheesy Scream knockoff. 3 out of 10. Joan Ill 4.
Fantastic. I wish this movie was an urban legend. 2 out of 10. Son of Mansfield.
Heard the urban legend about the terrible film. 1 out of 10. Rise Mons. All right. The only thing left to do now is to watch the trailer. I have not seen this trailer.
I haven't seen this trailer in, I don't know, 20 years.
Yeah, no, like even when I was getting it, I was able to not look at any of it. So I'm just excited.
Folklore. Today we get more specific. This is what we call an urban legend. Contemporary folklore passed on as a true story. Something you might have heard about mixing pop rocks and soda.
Supposedly, your stomach and your intestines burst.
Voila, still alive. Mr. Brooks, please.
He's gonna explode! Somebody call 911!
They are the legends we've all heard.
Gang members drive around at night with their headlights off, and when someone goes to flash from their high beams to warn them, they kill them.
The stories we've all told.
Guy and a girl, and they're parked out in the woods. The guy steps out, and the girl starts to hear these scratching noises. It's her dead boyfriend hung from a tree.
The tales we've all listened to.
Isn't there another story about a guy with an axe hiding in a woman's back seat?
My mom still checks the back seat before getting into a car.
But just because it never happened doesn't mean it never will.
The decapitated body was found in her car.
I knew I should have gone to NYU.
This girl, she could have been any one of us.
What if there is a lunatic on campus?
What is he gonna do next, huh? Maybe put spider eggs in bubblicious?
The idea of an urban legend serial killer. It's a stretch.
The call's coming from inside the house.
Could it be an urban legend?
Something I can help you with.
I want to know what's going on here.
Someone out there is taking all these urban legends and making them reality.
Urban legend.
Have you heard the one about the microwave?
What's in the microwave?
Oh, you'll find out. I'd almost forgotten about that.
I have.
As soon as I saw him in the kitchen, I was like, oh shit, right, the microwave.
So it's the producers of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So what's your prediction?
I think I'm gonna love it. I think I'm really, really gonna love it. You?
Yeah, it looks. I don't think it's going to be up there with Scream,
No.
obviously, but it doesn't have to be either. So yeah, it looks fine. It looks like a '90s, late '90s Scream knockoff, which
Yeah.
I remember liking.
Yeah. Honestly, Scream, I think, brought horror and slasher movies back to the forefront
Yeah,
for filmmaking. And I think a lot of studios kind of hopped on that bandwagon, and some of them were great, some of them were not. But some of them were just like, we're going to make a slasher movie with a twist. And everybody just assumed, oh, look, it's a bunch of teens in a slasher movie. It's a Scream knockoff.
yeah, which is kind of unfair.
It's a little unfair. But
Yeah.
also wanted to share that the actor who plays the creepy janitor in this movie
Supernatural.
is from Supernatural, but he also lives about 2 blocks away from me.
We should go say hi.
I see him in the neighborhood all the time, and I kept forgetting his name, and I was like, "I can't just scream out, 'Death!'"
No, no.
That's rude. So
Yeah.
I
Plus, he's
just
probably a lot older now, so
smile and nod.
yeah, he's been in quite a few things.
Oh, he's been in
Yeah,
so much.
yeah. No, the movie looks fine. It has a
Yeah.
good cast. I mean, the killer outfit, that's a little but
It
as long as the kills are fine, as long
Yeah. I'm not looking for genius here.
no,
It's
no,
it's a
it's a
for
slasher movie. Yeah,
it's a slasher movie. Give me a good slasher, and I'm happy.
yeah. Give me a decent slasher.
Yeah. I don't need it to be rewriting film theory, like, we're good.
Okay, well, we are going to go watch Urban Legend. I don't even know if it's on any streamer or anything yet. I haven't checked it. I'm not buying it. I'm telling you that.
Oh,
Fool me once, John Voight.
you
Uh,
may have to buy or rent it at least.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, it's probably gonna have to be a rental because I don't think it's on anything. But yeah, we are going to go watch it, and when we come back, we will review it.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
Like during watching Urban Legend, some things came back to me, but for the
Yeah.
most part, it was almost a clean slate.
I remembered the majority of it, actually. I was really surprised with myself.
Yeah.
Like, everything seemed super familiar. I was like, "Yeah, no, because I was convinced I had forgotten a good chunk of it, but I was like, "Nah, man, I this almost all of it. I remembered almost all of it." I'm so impressed with myself.
So our general consensus was, and you said, I think I'm gonna love it. I think I'm really, really gonna love it. And I basically said it looked like a night slasher movie, which if you made a slasher after Scream, everyone called a knockoff, which I thought
Mm,
was unfair.
so unfair.
Yeah, after Scream, movie studios were like, "Holy shit, people want to see slashers again."
Yeah, it was just a reawakening of audiences, that's all it was.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
there are young people in a slasher film, they're like, "It's a copycat of Scream," and I'm like, "No, it's not, morons."
No, they just want a bit more story, some familiar faces, and cooler
Yeah.
kill scenes. Yeah, and then all you nerds seem to hate it when the masses like something. They're calling them knockoffs. And back in the '90s, we just had to raise our fists slightly and tell them to shut up. Now we have to watch out for everyone's feelings.
You still had to watch out for people's feelings in the '90s, it's just nobody cared.
Yeah, no one cared. Yeah. So, welcome back to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. We are so happy you stuck with us. I have watched Urban Legend. Have you watched Urban Legend?
I have watched Urban Legends.
And your initial thoughts?
I fucking loved it.
I knew you were gonna love it.
Actually, I also like to point it is a better made movie than I remember. I think I should point that out. Like, still cheesy, like, we're not gonna deny the cheesiness,
Right.
but it was actually higher quality, like an actual good movie, and that surprised me. I will throw that out there.
Yeah, my initial thoughts first is this is not a Scream knockoff. It's nothing like Scream.
Mm-mm.
It's also not as good as Scream.
Well, no.
But in a long list of '90s slasher movies, most weren't. It's a generic slasher movie with some good kills, like some above average acting. Not you, Tara Reid. Fair, this was before she came into her own and went on to star in the Sharknado franchise.
Of course. We can never forget that masterpiece.
Yeah, and she's in more than one. She's
I
in
know. Didn't she,
4 of
like
the 6 or something.
she, like, lost a limb or 2 in that franchise? If I'm not mistaken, I feel like she lost a leg or an arm.
I don't
I don't know.
know.
I've only watched I think I watched the first one,
I've seen
and
the
then I've
first
seen
one. I've seen
bits
another
and
one.
pieces
Yeah,
of the others, and I would roll my eyes and just kinda move on, but I was like, "Tara Reid,
but
God
back in
bless."
Urban Legend, she wasn't the acting steward as we now
Yes,
all
this is
know.
true. This is true.
I had some cool kills. It did have plot holes. It had a shitload of plot holes, this movie, but it did have some nostalgia. Did nostalgia make up for the plot? Let's find out. Okay, so let's dive in. We're gonna go over the movie. There was very small plot ones, and then I found what I can only must guess is a super fan of this movie because it is a very detailed plot. So I took
I
this
love
one.
it.
I didn't really read it. I just browsed through it, and it seemed to hit everything, I believe. So,
Mhm.
okay, on a dark and rainy night. Sounds like my book. A young woman named Michelle Mancini, Natasha Gregson Wagner, is driving her pickup truck. I think it wasn't a pickup truck. It was a
No, it was an SUV.
SUV. Oh, this
But, like, the
plot
early
sucks.
SUVs that are all boxy and square.
Yeah. Listening to a college campus radio DJ. After nearly colliding with another car, she realizes that she is almost out of gas and pulls into the nearest gas station. A creepy looking rundown place in the middle of nowhere. The strange looking attendant offers to fill up her car, and Michelle offers to pay by credit card.
Mm.
She barely rolled down the window. It was
She barely rolled down the window.
just enough to get that card out.
And I feel like we need to point out that the reason she almost collided with another car is because she literally turned completely around in the driver's seat to look through her CD collection
Yes. Yeah.
and pick out a new CD.
Yes. And I don't know if Brad Dorff would appreciate being called creepy.
But he was.
Yeah, he was.
He was.
He's always looks creepy.
Yeah.
And then we also get a hint that the gas attendant has a stuttering problem.
A hint?
Yeah.
And every other word was stuttered. I
Yes.
was like, that's a little extreme, guys.
After a minute, the attendant convinces Michelle that her credit card is not working and wants her to come into his office to speak to the credit card company on the phone. However, when Michelle gets inside the station and picks up the phone, there is no one on the other line. The attendant approaches her and excitedly stutters, but he cannot say anything clearly. The fearful woman sprays mace in his face and manages to run back to her truck and speeds away while the attendant remains behind and yells after her that he's only trying to help her and screaming, "Someone's in the back seat."
Mhm.
This was a great opening, like a great beginning.
So good.
Yeah, like that was really, really good. One of the best openings of a slasher.
Yes.
Right here at this point. After this, not so much, but right here at this point, Brad Dorff
I beg
finally
to differ, but okay.
enunciating properly. Yeah. But I have to say, everything that follows is on Brad Dorff's character.
Mm.
Had he tried harder in speech therapy, not only would that young lady be alive, but the killer would have been caught, and all those lies after this would have been saved.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have been a much shorter
The
movie, sure, but
life-saving techniques of speech therapy, my friends.
yes, it counts. On the road, Michelle relaxes a little bit until someone sits up in the back seat and swings an axe at her.
Mm.
Not only decapitates her, but swings the axe right through the window as well.
Yes.
Impossible? Absolutely yes.
Oh, for sure.
Even
Defies
for
all the laws of physics.
Yeah,
100%.
Paul fucking Bunyan couldn't have done that.
Nope, not a chance.
But it's a movie and a horror movie, so it's fine.
Yeah.
That's just shitting. I'm just shitting on it to shit on it, but it is impossible. But it was a cool scene. It was a great opening. I really did like that opening.
There was one thing that I noticed, and I had never noticed it before, and I watched this movie multiple times. There's like flesh attached to the axe when it swings through the window.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like, beautiful, nice touch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if that's because I didn't go to the theaters and see it. I would have watched the DVD.
Mm.
And I'm wondering if it's that quality of because I had to rent this.
Oh, no.
You watched it?
My friend.
Oh, do you have the DVD?
Watched it on DVD.
Oh, so the flesh was there anyway.
The flesh was there through the whole thing. And but I had never noticed it before. And I was just like, oh, that's a good touch. Because it's
Yeah,
not
it
just a
came right out the
clean
window. Yeah.
axe or one that's just dripping with blood. It's like, no, he took a chunk out of her.
Yeah. That same night, inside a coffee shop lounge at Pendleton University, college student Parker Riley, Michael Rosenbaum, is telling an urban legend called the Stanley Hall Massacre about 25 years ago when a crazy professor killed a dozen students at a closed down dorm on campus. Two of the students, Natalie Simon, Alicia Witt, and Brenda Bates, Rebecca Gayheart, listen with skepticism while they listen to Parker's girlfriend, Sasha Thomas, Tara Reid, who operates a local radio call-in show. I think it's just a college radio, not a local radio.
No, it's college radio.
Yeah.
And her show is a sex show.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because at the beginning, the character that got killed was listening to her, and they were talking about a caller was talking about stealing her roommate's birth
Birth
control.
control and
Yeah.
replacing it with baby aspirin.
Nice.
It is true, they do look very similar.
Paul Gardner, Jared Leto, a pompous college reporter, joins the group and sneers at Parker's yarn. Brenda is obviously attracted to Paul. Natalie and Brenda walk towards the closed down Stanley Hall dorm building, where they suggest they chant Bloody Mary as a gag when they are surprised by Damon Brooks. Pacey, Joshua Jackson. That's what that. I'm like, oh, it's Pacey.
Everybody said that though. That's who he was at the time. He was just
Yeah.
Pacey.
Yeah, it's Pacey. A misfit student who taunts them over going inside the boarded up building. Natalie and Brenda split up, where Natalie goes home to her dorm room, where she interrupts her goth girl roommate, Tosh Ganeri, Danielle Harris, having sex with a goth guy.
Mhm.
I don't know how I would feel about this. I never experienced this college roommate thing, and
I did-ish. I lived in the dorms. I was adamant that I was like, "I am not living," because most of the first year students were usually put in the Saugeen building, and
okay, yeah.
it's a more traditional, like, you share an open space room, bathrooms are down the hall, there's, like, lounge areas for you to hang out in. I did not want that because I was like, "I don't want somebody all up in my business." So I managed to apply for the dorm that was like an apartment.
Oh
So
yeah,
I had
yeah,
a separate bedroom. I shared a bathroom with one of my roommates, and then the 2 other roommates that we had were on the other side of the dorm, and they shared a bathroom, and then we had a living room and a little kitchenette.
right.
And it was a much better experience, but you're still living with people that you don't know.
Yeah,
And you're still all up in each other's business. Because I remember once, just before one of my exams, my other 2 roommates had decided to have friends over, and they were up until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning in the living area just having a grand time. And of course, this thing, it was a very nice building, but the walls weren't that thick, so I could hear everything. And I went out into that living room like 4 times being like, "Can you shut the fuck up? I have an exam at 9. It's now 2:30." And they're like, "Oh, yeah, sorry, sorry, sorry." And then they stayed for, like, another half hour, and I lost my shit. And so, it was very similar, but not like this, and I could never in my life, because I was like, Alicia Witt just walks in, gets changed for bed in her closet, and, like, puts on her headphones and goes to sleep. I
yeah,
was like, "The fuck?"
yeah. That was
I'd be
weird.
like, "Take your dick out, get the fuck out of my room. Next
Yeah,
time, put something on the doorknob so I know you're in here,
yeah.
or write me a note," because I was about to say send me a text, but this was before that. Page me.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I could have just thrown on some headphones and gone to sleep.
Mm-mm.
No,
Fuck no.
no, there'd be a lot of, "Jimmy, stop looking. Jimmy, turn around. Jimmy, stop touching yourself. Jimmy, you're freaking us out."
See, and with me, there'd be a lot of, "Sir, take your dick out of her and get the fuck out of my room. I'm going to bed, you're not staying."
Yeah, no, that I thought that was weird, but
Also, her roommate took a lot of liberties. There was no way you would be smoking in the building. There's no way you would have painted your half of the room black.
yeah.
Had your own I was like, "What the fuck?" It's very weird, but anyways.
The next day in class, Professor William Wexler, Robert England, is discussing folklore and urban legends. Damon, the class goof off, walks up to the front of the class and tries drinking soda and Pop Rocks candy to prove the urban legend that his stomach will not explode. Actually, first Brenda is asked to try it because
Mhm.
she's a little afraid to do it. And she tried to tell the professor that one of the urban legends he was talking about actually did happen in her hometown. So he made her demonstrate, but she refused to do it. Then Pacey did it.
Yes.
Uh, Damon. Damon, then feigns going into a seizure and playing dead, much to the annoyance of Wexler and the amusement of his friends.
Mm.
Later that day, Natalie and Brenda see Paul distributing out newspapers detailing about the decapitation murder the previous night, in which the stuffy Dean Adams and the campus security guard, Reese Wilson, Loretta Devine,
Mhm.
seizes copies of the school paper about the recent murder. Paul protests to the dean about about a possible murder on campus, but Adams tells Paul that there is no killer and the only crazy person is him.
Yes.
Yeah. I know the removing of the paper is to bring doubt on the campus and an authority, but it was a little thin, like the reasoning behind it.
Well, I think it's also it mirrors how they treated or talked about the massacre that happened 25 years before.
Yeah.
Like, they brush it under the rug and nobody talks about it and yada, yada, yada. So it kind of mirrors that where like murders start happening and they're like, nothing happened. I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine. And Reese is my favorite. In the second movie, she becomes my super favorite.
Oh,
But
is
I
she in
really
the
like her.
second movie?
She's in the second movie. Yeah. And I love her so much in that movie. But anyways, yeah, no, it's a very normal like school administration thing to brush something like this under the rug.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
super prevalent. Any crime that's on a campus, they're never going to admit to it.
No, no, they don't want any bad publicity. No.
Yeah, they want to be voted, safest campus so that everybody feels,
Safe.
safe sending their precious little babies off to school.
Yeah. Later that day, Natalie, Brenda, Paul, Parker, Sasha, and Damon meet where they discuss the murder. Natalie claims not to know the murder victim, but she has in her possession a high school yearbook, which shows that Natalie and Michelle were captains of their cheerleading squad.
Mhm.
That evening, Damon arrives at Natalie's dorm room to console her, and takes her someplace in his car to talk. Okay, the fact that Natalie fell for this "let's go talk" makes me question how she can survive to the end of this movie.
You want to know how? I will fucking tell you how. Cuz this is a problem that still persists to this day.
I know, and it shouldn't. Like, the warning signs have been prevalent for decades.
Yes, because women, when they make friends with men, they think we're just friends.
Yeah.
So when a man says, "Oh, you don't feel good? Oh, here, like let's go watch a movie or let's go." You're thinking, "That's really nice. He's being a good friend." Then we don't think he's trying to get in our pants, but he's thinking, "This is how I get in our pants."
Yeah. Silly women.
And then we end up losing a friend because we're like, "Well, what the fuck? You were only my friend to get in my pants?" And this is the problem because
Duh.
men think the way to get into a woman's pants
Just be nice
is
to
to
them.
become her friend.
Yeah.
No, not to be nice.
Oh,
Because you
just
can
be
be
a
nice
friend?
and not be someone's friend.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you position yourself as a friend and you tell them, "Yeah, we're friends. Yeah, we're friends." Weirdly, and I know this is gonna shock a lot of people, women will take you at your word.
Again, silly women.
I know, right? Fucking believing what you're saying, not expecting you to lie through your teeth. Crazy. But yeah, this is exactly because she's like, "Oh, Damon's being a friend,"
Yeah.
because she
Yeah.
has shown 0 reason for him to think that she's interested. But yet still, in his mind, he's like, "Well, if I get her at a secluded spot, give her a warm beer, and talk some bullshit to her, she'll give it up to me in the front seat of my car."
Yeah, that's the surefire recipe right there.
100 if you're ever gonna seduce a woman, that's what you do. Fuck flowers, fuck taking her out to a nice dinner, fuck getting
Yeah.
to know her
No.
and really caring about her. No,
Yeah.
no, no.
Beer
None
and a
of that
shoulder to
shit.
cry on.
Warm beer in the front seat of a car.
After driving to a secluded part in the nearby woods, Natalie is angry to discover that Damon only wants to talk to her to persuade her from some need of lovin'. Some
Mm.
love. I didn't write this, but it reads like I talk. But she's shocked. Like, I actually was there. I'm like, movie broads are so dumb.
Do you know how many times all of a sudden one of my guy friends is trying to like come in for a kiss and I'm like, "Dude,
What?
the fuck you doing?"
Oh, I thought I got the signal.
And literally they're like, "But you've been talking to me all night." "Yes, because you're my friend. I talk to my female friends all night. They don't try to kiss me." Mostly.
Oh, kudos on the Dawson Creek song on the radio.
100%. I love that.
Yeah.
That was the greatest.
After Natalie becomes angry and demands that Damon take her home, he exits the car to the call of nature when someone attacks him with a rope. Actually, she punches him in the face.
She totally punches him in the face, and then the best part is, she was like, "1 black eye or 2?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Fine, I'm gonna go piss, and then we can go." Sucker.
And this is where I'm like, It's just the beginning part of the movie where it's like, okay, we're taking reality and we're gonna throw it right out the window here.
Mhm.
When Natalie goes to check on him, the killer wearing a heavy hooded winter overcoat, like the one that was in the hiding in the back of the car at the beginning, attacks her. As she tries to drive away, Damon, tied to a rope attached to the bumper of the car, is hoisted up and choked to death. So let's not even get into the difficulty of overpowering another man. Like, fine, let's get woke. How difficult it is to overpower another person, no matter how they identified. Actually, man or female, this would be very difficult to
It would
overpower them.
to well, you could probably overpower them.
Like,
Where
I'm a
you
man's man, I could probably overpower them.
Sure, sure. Um, I'm me, so
Can't
I
even
could probably
overpower my
overpower
kids when they
It's a
take something from
4-year-old,
the
right?
fridge. Yeah, when she takes a Freezy from the
She
fridge.
she fucks you up. Um, no, overpowering, I could kind of I'm like, I'll give you leeway for that because it is possible. I mean, if you hit some very particular spots, especially on a man, you, like, weaken and daze them.
Yep.
It's possible. The part I had trouble with was getting the rope, which is already attached to his neck,
Yeah.
over the branch, tying it to the bumper, and putting him on top without her seeing anything, and with
Yeah,
only one thump on the
yeah,
top of the,
and
like,
that
roof
was
car
actually
roof.
yes, that was actually probably, like, to overpower them whilst throwing a rope over a tree and then making the noose, and maybe had the noose already done. That'd be the smart way of doing it.
I don't think it was already done,
I don't think so either.
because when you see the rope wrapped around his neck, it's not in a noose. It's just wrapped around there,
Yeah,
and I
it's
was
just
like,
wrapped around.
and for the amount of time that passes,
Yes.
impossible.
Look at us learning serial killing.
I know, right?
And then get said person's head into the noose, hoisting them up just high enough to be able to tap that roof.
Yeah.
All this, mind you, in the time span of a minute or so, because she got out of the car to find Pacey. She
Mhm.
was like, "Get your Dawsons Creek ass back in the car and drive me home." Sees the killer, runs back to the car. Either didn't see Pacey already hanging over the car, or the killer hadn't done it yet.
I don't think the killer had done it yet because
No.
remember there's this big thump and
Yeah.
the roof of the car kinda bends.
Yeah, and she didn't say,
I
"Hey,
think
Pacey."
yeah, I think that's when Pacey God bless, I'm sorry, Joshua Jackson. I think
Damon.
that's when Pacey no, Joshua Jackson. Joshua. That's when Pacey, I think, hits the roof. But then I'm sitting there going, "How did you get him up there
Yeah, so quick.
so quick?" Running around from the front of the car, if I'm not mistaken, that's where the fight was happening.
Yeah,
Where the fuck was Pacey during this?
yeah,
Like, it defies logic. There
yes.
is absolutely 0 logic in this particular sequence, and I'm not mad about that because 'cause I'm like, there's a serial killer patterning his kills on, urban legends. We're
Yep.
not in the realm of reality right now.
Definitely not.
It's not a thing I have to worry about.
His body lands on top of the car, forcing Natalie to get out and run. Natalie goes to the campus security office and tells Reese about the killing. But when both arrive at the scene, the body of Damon and the car are gone. She didn't just get out and run. She drove the car into a tree, did she not?
Yes.
Yes. Why didn't she just show the cop the evidence of the tree? And like, this happened 10 minutes ago. This killer could clean a crime scene like it was nobody's business.
It happened really, really fast, and I was very, very impressed, but also at the same time, I'm like, "How close to campus were you? How long did it take you to run to this security officer?
Yeah.
How
Wasn't she a
long"
cop? Or was she a
N
security
no, she was
officer?
just a campus security officer.
Okay, so that again, and I'm like, why didn't Officer Reese call 911 for some backup? Someone got
No.
murdered and assaulted, and she brought the victim back.
No, she was just told that someone got murdered and assaulted.
Yeah,
So she was like, "Sure, honey. Sure." Because what does she say? "We were in a car in the thing, and my friend got killed." Or my friend, because she saw the body hanging. He was hanged. So she thinks, "Okay, he's already dead. I'm gonna go back with someone who has a gun." Little did she know, there
yeah.
was no one there. That's one of my gripes about Alicia Witt's character, whose name I keep forgetting. Fuck, Natalie.
Natalie.
She is apparently smart and capable, but one of the biggest morons and so fragile. And I feel like the character wasn't fully developed. Like they wanted a damsel in distress, but they also wanted a final girl.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't really, you can have a damsel in distress to a point, and then she's got to turn into a final girl. You can't have damsel in distress, final girl, like switching spots through the entire movie. But that's my,
Yeah.
I'm like, they could have done that better.
Now, would you have went out if that just happened to you? Would you go back out with the security guard? Because not for not, and I love her as an actress, but Officer Reese was overweight and old. She was 49, and let's just say, like cake.
She's like the majority of security guards in out in the world.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
I'm go ahead, tell me I'm wrong.
No, when you think about it, you're right. I wouldn't.
The majority of them. The others, there are the ones who were like, "Ah, this is a pretty decent job. I watch monitors, I walk the mall, whatever." And then there's a small group who got rejected from the police academy,
Yeah, yeah,
and they're
they,
just biding their time and
yeah,
harassing people at the mall because they're really into law and order and undercover psychos. So, I think Reese is just the one that, "I've worked here long enough, and, these kids are crazy. It's probably just a prank or a joke."
yeah. And I'm not trying to gender bash, age bash, or weight bash. If say what's his name, Carol Connor from In the Heat of the Night.
Yes.
If he was a security guard and he said, "Come on, let's go back to the scene of the crime where you almost got murdered," I wouldn't go with that fucking guy either because he was 50 years old during that show, and I wouldn't go
Valid,
with him either.
valid.
I wouldn't go with myself, let alone even if I had a gun. Um, the next day, after failing to locate, I keep wanting to say Pacey, Damon, Natalie's friends are skeptic to her claims of a murder and think that Damon's disappearance is one of his practical jokes. Okay, so they did go out, Officer
Mhm.
Reese and Natalie, and there was nothing there, and she
Nothing.
just thinks she's nuts.
Yes.
Now they think it's just a practical joke. This again is, I mean, this is some high-end practical joking, although it would explain nothing being there when her and Officer Reese got there. If it was a
Yes.
practical joke that everyone just cleaned it up. Him just popping up over the car so quick would have explained that. They should have had like this, like an April Fool's Day movie vibe, like the 80s movie.
Mm.
Um, but I did like how there were arguments from both sides and everyone, how this could be a joke or not be a joke.
Yeah.
Like, why isn't he here to take credit for this joke?
Yes.
He already said he had a bachelor party to go to. He will definitely rub it in your face when he gets back. So I did like that part of it. And she called and asked if a guy with blonde, and they said yes, a blonde dude did check in.
Mhm.
But how many guys frosted their hair in the 90s?
So many.
Like a lot. And this was
So,
before
so
people,
many.
way before people identified as douchebags.
Valid.
But it was frosting your hair was a 90s
Oh,
thing.
well, Damon's hair is bleached, but I
Yes.
don't know the number of times that someone with frosted tips was being called blonde.
Yes.
And I'm like, but like still 80% of their hair is
Was
brunette,
brown. Yeah.
but then they just have their frosted tips. Yeah, they're blonde, but really they're brunettes. So you see frosted tips, which was abundant in the late 90s
Oh God, yes.
and the
I
early
I had friends
2000s.
that frosted, yeah.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
It was terrible. It was a terrible, terrible time for
Frosted
hair in
tips
general.
and the beginning of Celtic, tattoos
Oh,
on the arm, yeah, yeah.
yes. And then what's her name? Pamela Anderson fucked everybody up and got the barbed wire tattoo, and then everybody had
Oh,
to get it around their bicep. God, so traumatizing.
yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So yeah, so he could have been mistaken for somebody. The room wasn't in his name or on his credit card. None of the rentals. There was a ticket bought for him, but this was also before like 9/11, so there
Yeah,
wasn't as much like digital or computer following and checking in and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is when you could still buy paper tickets at a travel agency.
yes. Yeah, and they probably wouldn't give you as much information as she gave her,
Yeah.
even back then. But yeah, and that's what I was alluding to with the frosted tips. Like it was done a lot, and people did. If you're just frosted blonde, whether you're
Yep.
brunette or not, people called you a blonde.
Yep.
Yeah. Natalie goes to the library to research urban legends by reading a book titled The Encyclopedia of Urban Legends. While Natalie's at the library, Tosh meets a fellow goth guy online and they plan to meet. What a whore. And I mean that as a compliment. Where were these angels when I went to school?
They were there. They just weren't sleeping with you.
Exactly. But come on, boys and girls, even if you are not in a serial killer movie or like situation, this is a very bad idea.
No, it's incredibly dangerous, and I feel like nobody gave her the, like, safety talk. Because I'm like,
Mm-mm.
Girl, you're just asking to get killed."
She did not watch one after school special ever.
Nope, not
Nope.
one. She did not know about stranger danger. Nobody told her that.
No. Like she didn't invent this guy. She didn't even see a photo.
Nope.
I could have showed up with badly applied mascara.
Mm.
Hey, I'm totally goth. Can we fuck now? Like,
She would have been down with that. Mind you, she had her own problems,
yeah, yeah.
which I
Oh,
really
yeah.
yeah, the bottle of lithium, which very strong, was prescribed a lot for people who were very, very depressed. So, yeah, she had her own issues, and I guess she was working through it by having a lot of sex,
Yep.
and yo, more power to her if that's what you but she needed to be safer. I guess
Yeah.
she thought since she was, like, doing it in her
In
dorm
school and
room.
in the dorm room. Yeah.
I'm
Which
like, "Yeah,
we
but girl,
soon find out is it
yeah,
doesn't mean you're safe.
your sex noises sound a lot like you're getting killed noises."
Yes, and when she at the beginning of the movie where she put her headphones on,
Yeah,
the noises were quite similar to her getting choked to death.
but I hate to say this, but this is true of everybody, even in real life. Your getting killed noises are very, very similar to your sex noises unless you're a talker.
Oh, then my
So
killer's gonna
unless
be very upset. He's gonna be, like, really freaked out when he kills me, like, "What fucking noise are you making, dude?"
I don't even wanna know, please don't talk. Please don't tell me
You don't
your
want a
sex noises.
demonstration? Okay.
No! Keep your sex noises to yourself. But it's true of
Probably why my
everybody.
wife puts headphones on.
Grunting, moaning, grunting, groaning,
Yeah,
screaming, if it's being done right. These are all things that happen when you're having sex
yeah.
and getting killed. So unless you're a narrator during sex, it could be easily, like, mixed up. So I'm just saying for the safety of everybody, maybe don't have sex with random strangers that you meet on the internet
Like,
without
yeah.
meeting them in public first and properly vetting them. I'm
Yeah,
just
because
saying.
this wasn't even, like, Tinder or anything. This was, like, a
No.
chat room.
Yes.
"Hey, any guy out there? I'm out here. Sweet, come by."
Pretty much tell me what room you're in.
Yeah.
And then it says yours. And I'm like, girl,
Yeah,
you
when she
did.
gets back, yours.
At least she went to freshen up. That was nice of her.
Yeah. When she returns from the bathroom to get and actually, if, for those listening, she was the bad girl from Roseanne.
Mhm.
She's been in tons of stuff back in the it did not look like her. They gothed her up pretty good.
She was also wasn't she the one that played Michael Myers' niece?
Yes, she played
Yes.
in the two number 4 and
And
5, she was
there
Michael
you go.
Myers' niece, yeah. She returns from the bathroom to get ready for her date. The killer's waiting for her in the room and attacks. As absurd as the scene is, while Natalie walks into the room, it was a great scene. I did enjoy this
Yes.
scene. It was silly, but it's like you're saying, it her getting killed sounded a lot like when she was having sex at the beginning, and she's
Yes.
just like, she's just having sex again.
That's something I noticed about this movie. They give you hints earlier in the movie that end up linking up to a part later in the movie. And they do this repeatedly, and you're just like, "I see what you did there." Someone was when they wrote this script and when they edited it, they paid attention to that. I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
Some of it defies logic, but you get a lot of callbacks, and I appreciate that.
Natalie walks into the room and assumes the noises are Tosh having sex again. The killer pulls out the electrical plugs for the lights in the room, and Natalie goes to bed, not realizing that Tosh is being strangled to death. The next morning, Natalie wakes up and sees her roommate dead from slash wrists and a message left by the killer written on the wall in blood saying, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the lights?" As cool as that was from a movie watching experience, the killer took a big chance on not having anyone woken up doing all that work.
Yes and no, because Natalie wasn't going to look over. Because as far as Natalie knew, Danielle Tosh was having sex. So
Yes.
she's like, I'm going to keep my eyes closed. I'm going to keep my music on. And I'm going to wait until the morning and
Yeah.
then walk out of here quietly to go to the bathroom down the hall.
Everyone thinks that Tosh committed suicide, and the message on the wall was a very morbid suicide note. Natalie convinces Paul that Tosh's death was not a suicide, and they look for evidence about the Stanley Hall massacre, but they find no evidence, and all the old newspaper clippings in the library from 1972, where the killings took place, are gone. Natalie and Paul run into the creepy looking janitor, Anna's grocery buddy,
Yes.
where they ask him questions about Stanley Hall massacre, and the janitor tells them to talk to Wexler.
Mm-hmm.
Natalie and Paul sneak into Wexler's office for evidence and are caught by the professor. Not before they find the secret room with a staggering amount of evidence, which actually makes sense for the professor to have. But it was actually a great misdirect.
Yes, it was a really great misdirect, and it added a creep factor to the professor, which he was already working on.
Yeah.
Because even when he was teaching the class, I was like, "There's something off about you."
Well,
I'm
Robert
like,
Englund just has that
he just
ability
has a
to.
natural creep factor, God
Yeah.
bless, and he portrays it so well, and I love that about him. And then you walk into a secret room in the professor's, and you see a bunch of stuff that's basically killing accessories. And
Yeah.
you're like, "This doesn't bode well for them." And it doesn't. But
No.
also, why did they have to break into the office? They were just supposed to go talk to Wexler.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to break in and start snooping around.
No,
All you have
they
to
were
do.
going there to talk to him.
Yeah. And then they were like, "Oh, he's not here, so let's break in and, like, look for stuff to see if he's the killer." And you're like, "Where did that come from?"
Brought before Dean Adams, Paul asks about the Stanley Hall massacre, but the dean avoids the question by telling Paul that he's fired from the school newspaper. Adams further tells Natalie that she has a criminal record for reckless endangerment and served a year of probation, and that she too is to stop investigating the urban legend about the Stanley Hall massacre if she wants to stay in college. Outside, Paul becomes angry when Natalie continues to avoid his questions about the past or if she knew Michelle. Later,
Mm.
Natalie walks into the campus swimming pool where Brenda is doing laps. I was going to bring this up earlier because I thought the plot missed it. When she thinks she sees the killer approach, but the figure in the winter coat is only a fellow colleague. Also, this is a popular coat.
Yeah. Especially because it looks like this is somewhere in, like, maybe New England. So but it looks like the northeastern United States, like one of those Ivy League schools up there. So I'm like, do you know how many of the exact same parkas you will see on a campus? Of course, you can't just look at someone wearing a parka and be like, "That's the killer,"
Yeah.
because it could literally be anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be a Costco nearby. Probably
Mhm.
every other person had the same parka. In the locker room, Natalie confides in Brenda that she did know Michelle. She tells the story of how she and Michelle were out driving one night on a dark road without their car headlights on when a passing car flashed them. And with Michelle driving, they chased down the car in which the car went off the road and the driver was killed. First off, commendable for being honest,
Mm,
like back
yes,
when they
finally.
ran him off the road. Second, stupid for being honest. It's your word against a dead person. Hello. I'd be like, yeah, I don't know if he was drunk, on drugs, nuts, but he was
You
driving
would.
erratic.
Natalie is honest
Yeah.
and trusting, which is why
Yeah.
she makes her the perfect victim in a slasher movie.
Yeah, because you know it was Natalie. Like, Brenda, we got to tell the truth. Do
Yeah.
we got to tell the truth, Natalie? Yeah, that's what I'd be saying. I'd be like, shut up, bitch. That evening, Dead Adams. Oh,
Dean Adams.
it's a typo. This is the person who wrote this who made the mistake. I'm just the idiot that read it like that. Dean Adams is in the parking garage to drive home when the killer ambushes him and kills him by slashing his ankles and driving over him with his own car. Actually, the killer put a neutral and it rolled over him
Yeah.
on the
And
spikes in the
on the
parking garage.
spikes.
Yeah.
But
That
this is the cut to the ankles, to the Achilles heel. That part, or the Achilles tendon,
yeah.
that part always makes me so nauseous.
Oh yeah. That would be
Because once you get cut in your Achilles tendon, you can't walk.
yeah,
You're
no.
done for. You literally can't move your feet. Like, you
No, you
can't
can't.
navigate. So
Yeah.
you can't stand on your feet either because
No.
you have no tension there. So it basically just it lames you.
Yeah. And the whole time I'm like, roll to your right. Shit, roll to your left.
Roll, just
He just
roll
had to roll. No one was driving. And yeah, and then it squished him
onto the
the
spikes.
spikes. At a fraternity party where Parker is throwing
Mhm.
Parker's throw. Jesus, you think I actually did write this?
Sorry.
Paul arrives with an old newspaper article given to him by the janitor, which tells that Wexler was the sole survivor of the 72 Stanley Hall massacre and that he may be responsible for the killings. When Natalie admits to having feelings for Paul, they kiss. Brenda sees this and, in a jealous rage, leaves the party. Is it me or is the math adding up? Natalie's kind of a dick.
Natalie's totally a dick. Like, don't get me wrong, a very young Jared Leto, incredibly attractive. I would make out with him too. However, but not I wouldn't make out with him at his current age because I'm personally very convinced that he did actually make a deal with the devil to keep looking the exact same age for the last
Yeah,
like 30
he's
years.
he's aged pretty good.
Yeah, for reals. I
Yeah.
want to know what that skincare routine is. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, I'm scared for my life, and if I find out that my professor might be a serial killer who's targeting all of my friends, I'm not making out with anybody.
See, I would.
I would not. I would not be making kissy face with people, especially not the guy who just told me that my professor is the only survivor of the last massacre, and he thinks he might be responsible for this massacre.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the most romantic thing someone could say to me. I definitely wanna make out with someone after that.
Pacey should have took notes. A little later during the party, Parker gets a phone call and is told about what happened to his pet dog. It was cooked in a kitchen microwave over as another urban legend. He runs into the nearby bathroom to throw up when the killer attacks him and kills him by pouring pop rocks and liquid Drano down his throat. Okay, this is a little off because the killer calls, and yes, I did get a Scream vibe here,
Yes,
but
but
I think that was done on purpose.
it's also an urban legend. Because the call was coming
Yeah,
from inside the house. So
which
he's
is
like,
what he
"Ooh, is
thought
that
it
the one?"
was.
Yeah, and then it
But he's
turned
like,
out that it
no,
wasn't that one.
it's the one about the dog in the microwave.
Yeah, the old woman who dries her dog in the microwave.
Yeah.
Then he opens up that
Parker,
microwave, and I was
and
like,
he runs
"Oh,
to the kitchen,
puppy."
the microwave goes off. He hesitates to open the microwave, rightfully so. The
And
dog
there's
is everywhere.
dog mush,
Yeah.
which is
Um,
terrible. I'm sorry, RIP dog.
I don't know how the dog going in the microwave could, yeah.
It defies logic.
Yeah. But he heads to the bathroom to throw up, and then it's pop rocks and liquid Drano. Now,
Yes.
kids, I haven't tested this, but I can almost certainly say pop rocks and liquid Drano will indeed not kill you. Try it and see. No.
Don't say that. It's the
Can
last
you
thing we
imagine?
need.
The guy on the podcast said it wouldn't, but I think it might. Yeah,
No,
you'll get a
Drano will
very
always kill
upset
you.
tummy.
Drano will always kill you. Do not drink Drano. Do not drink bleach. Do not drink any kind of chemical. Just don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah,
There
if you
you
wanna
go.
be
See, look, I just saved us
a
from a
nerd.
lawsuit.
Losers. Um, Natalie hears Sasha screaming over the radio and runs over to the station, but it's too late as the killer catches up to Sasha and axes her to death. Meanwhile, Reese searches Wexler's office but finds the floor covered with blood. She calls the police, but because. Okay, hold on. No, I missed something.
Okay.
While Natalie is trying to reach Paul, yes, okay. While Natalie is trying to reach Paul, who ran off, Sasha is attacked at the radio station by the killer, who chases her through the building with an axe.
Mhm.
This whole scene, it was like Natalie, or
Sasha.
Sasha had no luck at all.
None whatsoever, no matter where she turned or where she went.
Every
The
decision she every
the
decision she
killer was
made was
there.
wrong.
The killer was there, but I wanna point out that when this scene starts, like, at the radio station, and Sasha's there, and the producer gets
Gets it.
killed behind
Yes.
her, fucking gorgeous scene.
Yeah, that was a good scene.
Fucking gorgeous. And then there's also at one point where she's running away from the killer, and she goes through a door and locks it, and then she's looking through the glass in the door at the killer.
Yep.
The framing of that shot was beautiful.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was like,
it
"Oh,
was
wow."
shot really well.
Yeah, like, the entire chase, this movie was just a beautifully shot movie. I was like, "God, this is what I was talking about, where it's, like, a good movie." I was like, "Oh." So there were a couple moments during poor Sasha's kill scene, well, chase and kill scene, that I was like, "This is really well done." And then RIP Sasha.
Yeah. She just had some bad luck. It was like the killer had a copy of the script or something. Just everywhere she was going.
It's like
Elevator.
the killer could teleport.
Yeah.
Every time she turned around, there he was.
Yeah, because when she went up the elevator, she coulda went back down. Coulda went
Mhm.
to another floor. No, got out of the floor of the
Back to the
elevator,
studio.
displayed.
Jesus.
Coulda went to any other room on that floor, went to the one with the most windows where
Mhm.
the killer's most likely gonna see you going, yeah. Natalie hears Sasha screaming over the radio and runs over to the station, but it's too late as the killer catches up to Sasha and axes her to death. And yeah, you're right. I did like that scene. Although it was like the killer just happened to be everywhere where she was going, but it was a well shot scene.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Reese searches Wexler's office but finds the floor covered with blood. She calls the police, but because of a serious thunderstorm, the roads are washed out. Reese goes off to find the killer on her own, except that there was no thunderstorm. I don't even think it was raining
No, no,
outside
no,
here.
it was still raining.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, it was raining through, like, that entire night.
Oh, okay.
So even when Sasha was running to her car to go to the radio station, she got drenched. I remember that because it was really stupid. Because I
Yeah.
hate when girls are like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and she did that to the car while it was I'm like, "It's fucking water, and you're about to go on the radio. You're not even going on TV, on the r nobody's gonna fucking see you.
Yeah.
Deal with it, girl." Anyways.
Natalie runs into Paul outside her doom her doom room. Maybe I should read over these for Natalie runs into Paul outside her dorm room
Yes.
and becomes suspicious to where he went during the time Sasha was killed. They both find Brenda, in which they become suspicious about her. They drive away from the campus to look for help when they stop at another gas station. While Paul goes to a phone to call the police, Brenda and Natalie notice a strange odor, and upon opening the trunk, they discover the dead and mangled body of Professor Wexler.
I'd like to point out that the reason why they go into the trunk to look at it is because they hear his very distinct cell phone ring,
Yes.
which it rang during his class at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
another really great callback.
Yeah, it was. Yes, it was very well done. They both run away and into a nearby woods where they both split up. On a back road, Natalie's picked up by the eerie janitor,
Mhm.
but the killer chases them in another car. Okay, not before she sees the same winter coat
Of course.
as the killer. But Paul's car, or his Jeep or whatever he was driving, heading toward them with the lights off, and the janitor flicks his lights, signifying the gang headlights urban legend. The plot, while thorough, misses a lot of cool shit. Like the janitor flicks his car lights on, then the bad guy's car turns on, and of
Mhm.
course it's the killer. But how the fuck did they know Natalie was in the car?
This is the omniscient, it's omniscient killer who knows everything, knows where everybody's going to be,
Yes.
and shows up
Yeah.
before anybody gets there.
Yeah. And the janitor runs because okay, we know it's not. We're not spoiling anything. We know who the killer is. That means in the woods,
Mhm.
back out of the woods, back there, stealing the. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, it was a lot to take. And the janitor's truck runs off the road, in which the janitor hits his head and is killed. Did he die? Yeah, or was he? Yeah, I guess he died
He might have died or been unconscious, I can't
unconscious.
remember.
Yeah. Natalie returns to the campus and tries calling for help on a police phone, but she hears screams from inside the abandoned Stanley Hall building where there is a light on the third floor. Natalie breaks in. Because if you're a chick and you hear screams coming from an abandoned house, of course that's what you're going to do. You're not going to go get more help. You're
If
going
you
to,
were alone
and you're alone. Oh, yeah. And
on
you're
a
alone.
rainy night being chased by a serial killer and you hear screaming coming from an abandoned dorm that had a massacre happen in it 25 years ago and was shut down immediately afterwards. Of course you run to the screaming.
I'd
Of
be like,
course.
nope.
Any normal person would be like, "I'm just gonna keep trying to call the police. Thank you."
Yeah.
Normal people would do that.
Yeah.
Not Natalie. No. For some reason, she's like, "I haven't been able to help myself or anybody else through this entire thing,
Yeah. No.
but I'm gonna help that woman that's screaming in that abandoned house. Yes, I am."
Yeah. Natalie breaks in to look around and finds the dead bodies of Parker, Adams, and Damon. She finds Brenda lying motionless on a bed in a room lit with hundreds of different candles. But before she can react, Natalie is knocked out. Waking up later, Natalie finds herself tied to the bed with the killer standing over, in which the hood comes off to reveal. Dun dun dun. Brenda.
Brenda. But can we just point out that the way they signify, because I want to give props to Rebecca Gayheart for playing crazy super well.
I have a note that says that. Yeah.
Yeah. But the way they made her, like, they were like, okay, now we're into crazy Brenda, is her hair was exceptionally large
Yeah. Very frizzy.
and her eyeliner was very dark.
Yeah. She looked a lot different.
And I was like, is this your like cliche crazy? Because I
Yeah.
was like, this just means she brushed out her curly hair and that got that big. I look like that sometimes too.
No longer acting like the casually nice and friendly girl as seen through the movie, the sneering and wild-eyed Brenda explains to Natalie that the boy who was killed in the accident by Michelle and Natalie years before was Brenda's boyfriend. And yes, I have a note. One, this is the absolute worst plot hole of the whole movie. Second, Brenda, Rebecca Gayheart.
Yeah.
My note was absolutely awesome as the crazy serial killer. She
Oh,
played it so well.
so well.
Yeah.
So well. And why is it a plot hole for the boyfriend being killed?
Okay. Brenda befriended Natalie this whole time to torment her with the urban legend as her insane way of getting even with her. I get why you wanted everyone to like Natalie. You can sympathize with her character, but
Yeah.
it makes 0% that this crazy bitch would do all this tormenting and killing for the accessory to the murder of her boyfriend. She would do this for the actual murderer. Natalie should have been killed first, and Michelle and her friends should have been tormented and murdered. And this where, because wasn't driving. Michelle was the actual person that killed her boyfriend. And this, as it dawned on me, killed it for me. Because
Mm.
you're just killing the accessory to the murder. The actual murderer of your boyfriend, you already killed at the beginning. And I get it. You don't want the person at the end of the movie being the jerk, the murderer and having no trying to get away with it, that type of thing. You're not going to sympathize with it. You're going to sympathize with Natalie.
But
So
I would counter with Brenda's fucking batshit crazy.
I guess you could.
None of this makes sense.
That is true. I can't
But
argue with that.
also, because if she kills Michelle first, Michelle Mancini, I love that name, and then kills a bunch of people who have nothing to do with the car thing, and then kills Natalie, then Brenda's covered. But if she just kills like Natalie and then Michelle, or vice versa, and nobody else, then she's not covered. She's crazy but smart.
You really did like this movie, did you?
Also, I was just like, she's batshit crazy. Like, why are we looking for logic in what she chooses to do? She literally poured pop rocks and Drano down someone's throat to keep to the theme of urban legends.
Yeah.
Pop rocks didn't do shit.
No.
It was just, and then she took the body and hid it in the abandoned dorm. So nobody knows that it was with an urban legend death except for her.
Yeah, that's true.
There's so much about this movie that just, like, at every turn, you're like, "She's unbalanced."
Yeah, she's definitely unbalanced. But that for me, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah, no, this isn't a revenge story. This is,
just about
I jumped
crazy
off
old
the
Brenda."
sanity cliff and landed straight into crazy, and I'm just, like, treading water. I'm having a good time. I'm gonna float down the lazy river crazy.
Just as Brenda is about to kill Natalie by removing her kidneys as the kidney heist, urban legend, Reese appears to come to Natalie's rescue, but Brenda attacks Reese with a knife and wrestles her gun away. I'd be like, "I knew it.
Mm.
You chubby old bastard. I knew you would fuck this up. This is why you bring backup." But then Paul appears, applauding Brenda for her
Mm.
revenge plan and offers wanting a part of it for the credit of his career. I did like this because Brenda was not fooled by it, and before
Mhm.
she can shoot either one of them, Reese revives and shoots Brenda.
Yes.
Then I'd be like, "I knew you could do it. You're forget what I said. I take it all back. I take it all back. I love you." However, as Paul and Natalie are driving away to find help and safety, Brenda sits up in the back seat of their car and attacks them in the same manner she killed Michelle in the opening scene. How the fuck did she get before they did?
Okay, because she gets pushed out the window, remember?
Oh, yeah, right. So
But I
third
guess nobody
story.
went looking for her.
No, that's true. But you think when you push someone out a third story window, they're gonna be, you
You
know,
think they're at least gonna be mangled.
or yeah,
They didn't know they
unconscious
were
for a
supposed to,
bit.
but then this goes back to the very first urban legend in this movie. Always check the fucking back seat.
Yeah. 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 Because Paul smashes the car into the guardrail. Fucking Brenda smashes through the windshield and off a bridge into a river far below.
Mm.
Sometime later, at another college campus, a group of college students are discussing the recent Pendleton massacre and about the urban legends. When one student, who is alive and well, Brenda, with a different haircut, offers to tell them the real story about all of it. Yeah, for a chick that was shot, stabbed, headfirst through a window, drowned,
Yeah, she looks
fallen out of a
good.
building. Yeah, she looked really good.
She needs a little bit of conditioner on her hair, but other than that, she looks real good.
And her new college friends looked old as shit.
They look like caricatures
Yeah,
of
of
late 90s college students.
yeah, they did.
Like, if 35-year-olds were pretending to be college students in 1999, that's what it would have been. That's who they were.
And that is our movie.
Yes.
All right, so your score.
I'm giving it an 8.
Wow.
It was awesome. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna put this up. There was a lot of nostalgia. I will give you that. Are there plot holes and logic holes? 100%.
There's so many.
But this is also a slasher movie. Nobody's looking for everything to make sense. Otherwise, they would have stopped making Halloween. They would have stopped making Friday the 13th. They would have stopped making Screams. So it doesn't have to make total sense. It just has to make enough sense that it can push you through the story. It was also incredibly well shot. And the acting was definitely above average.
Yeah.
Was it fantastic? I mean, for the most part, yes, but there were a couple holes in the acting. But it was a story that was told. It was told well. It might not have been the most, like, sensical story, but they wrapped it all up and they brought it around full circle. And it was great. The kills were creative, and the movie was well shot. And it was still fun to watch.
So a big old 8 from
Huge
Anna.
8. It's still not a great movie. That's why it didn't get any higher. I'd like to point that out.
All right. Well, here's my score. Urban Legend isn't a well-written movie. If you look at the movie based solely on the writing, it was shit. The plot holes were ridiculously huge. Like our opening of the live show, like you could drive a semi truck through some of those plot holes. This is the movie. That's what we're talking about. A lot of it didn't make sense, but that's not to say I didn't have fun watching it. The acting was fine. The pacing was fine. The death scenes were good. Not all of them were great, but most of them were good. And in the end, I'm glad I watched it. Am I going to watch it anytime soon? Again, no. Is it persuading me from watching the other urban legend movies? Quite the opposite. I took joy in the silliness of this movie. Its biggest and best-selling feature was the nostalgia of actors and being a 90s slasher. I'm not watching this anytime soon, but that is not to say I won't. I give it a 5.5. Just above meh, it was okay. And that's our 5 is I can justify liking it back in the day. It has a few good lines and a few good scenes. It even has a wonderful layer of nostalgia, but it just didn't hold up to our memories of it. I would be a toss-up if I ever watch it again. So I'm giving it a 5.5 because it kind of did hold up to the memories I had, and it's not a toss-up if I ever will watch it again. I will watch this movie again.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, I did have fun watching it, and sometimes a movie's just okay, and you can still
Yeah.
have fun. Yeah. It's when you get down to the 4s and 3s and 2s that you wish you didn't watch it.
Yeah, no, this one was a super fun movie, and I remember why I bought it on DVD, and I was like, "Shit, why haven't I watched this lately?" Like, it's a fun movie. Are there logic holes in the plot? Yeah, 100%. But it's also a slasher movie, and I mean, it's not based on reality.
No. And for me, it was the nostalgia. It was a 90s slasher through and through.
Oh, 100%.
Um, and yeah, I had fun watching it. It was just not my favorite movie, but I will watch it again. I can definitely see watching Final Cut and Bloody Mary. Like I was looking over the movies we watched recently, and I
Yeah.
can see next summer easy, like especially like doing drive-in like
Yes.
2 movies. I think we could handle if we can handle this, I think maybe next time we should do it like every week, like 2 bad movies of like sequels and part 3s of
I'm down.
movies like Anacondas and Leprechauns and Urban Legends. Yeah,
We should
it's
do
just
Tremors.
oh, Tremors. Yeah. Yes. And
All
like,
5 of them.
yeah, I love those movies.
So bad, they're good.
Oh, they're so bad. Yeah. So in the end, yeah, buy it, rent it, stream it, skip it. I'm going to say if you liked it, then I'm going to say stream it. In all good conscience, I can't suggest that you pay money for it. I did. I'm not mad that I paid for money. I'm fine with it. I had enough fun. Even with plot holes, I did not like it as much as Anna, but I had enough fun that I didn't mind paying money for this at all. But in all good conscience, I cannot suggest people pay money. That's me. What would you say
See,
for people that
if for people who
remember
haven't
liking it?
seen it before, stream it. 'Cause I don't think it warrants a rental fee, like paying for a rental. However, if you did watch it before and you remember liking it, totally worth the rental. Because if you have fond memories of this movie, chances are you'll be surprised by how much you like it still. And
Yeah.
like you won't be mad that you paid for it. However, if you're not a big fan of 90s slasher films or horror films, because it is a very particular genre, d don't bother paying for it. Just stream it when it comes on a streaming service.
Could it be rebooted or reimagined today?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I said absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd like to see a tighter movie like this with less plot holes.
Honestly, with a few small reworkings, this could be a super tight, really well done horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if done today. It doesn't need a complete overhaul, and it also doesn't need a complete rewrite. There are just a few things that you could kinda tweak and kinda shift, and you would end up with a much tighter plot, much tighter movie overall. But I mean, you don't have to reboot it, but it's totally redoable. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that was Urban Legend. Anna gave it an 8, and I gave it a 5.5. So for the podcast, we hope you enjoyed our review of Urban Legend. Go watch it at your own risk if you haven't seen it recently. Please check us out on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, whatever. We're on everything. You can watch us every Wednesday, 9 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook, or you can watch the podcast on YouTube or just listen to the podcast wherever you're listening to this podcast now.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,